work on just opening up your wrist and getting your wrist ready. So I want you to start with your palms facing the ground, fingers facing your body, and then just start to lean back and start to stretch your wrist. And we're going to do this dynamically. So kind of moving and twisting from side to side, leaning up and down, just feeling that stretch through your forearms, through the wrists. Again, just getting them ready for the workout. So spend about a minute here. Try to spread your fingers as far away from one another as possible. Your wrists are extremely important in handstands, and I think one of the most important aspects to look at when it comes to wrists and forearm stands and arm balances is just taking care of them, making sure they're properly engaged. Because if you do a lot of handstands but don't take care of your wrists or don't do the proper exercises, it's going to hurt. So let's make sure that they're nice and open before we start. Go ahead and flip your hands. Palms are going to face up, fingers facing in, and stretch the backs of your hands. Spread your fingers really far away from one another. And again, kind of like we just did before, kind of moving up and down, kind of moving back and forth. Don't be afraid to put some weight into your wrist in this position. In fact, I would recommend it. You do want to build strength in your wrist like this. Eventually, maybe you even build to being able to do push-ups in this position. So, getting to the point where you can kind of come down like this. Oh boy. And then press back up. That takes some warm-up to do, but eventually you do want to get to that point where you can work on that. Keep stretching. Try to keep your forearms engaged as you're doing this. We're going to give this 10 more seconds or so. All right. Then go ahead and plant your fist down and squeeze your fingernails into your palms as tightly as you can. Turn your inner elbows to face forward. Press down into your fist. Squeeze your forearms. Squeeze your biceps. And just give a couple breaths here. Now squeeze your hands in toward one another like you're going to scrunch the mat up between your hands. And that'll help to get your shoulders engaged. And again, really tightening your palms into fist. Or squeezing your fingers and your hands into fist. And getting those forearms really tight and really engaged. 10 more seconds. All right, go ahead and release. And let's go ahead and stand up. We're going to keep opening up the shoulders. Get your core a little active. Toes touch, bring your arms overhead. Interlace your fingers, point your index fingers. Breathe up. Exhale toward the right. 2 breaths with your fingers like this, and then we're going to change it up. Get as tall as you can. Press down through your heels. Squeeze your thighs together. Squeeze your abs. This is just like what you're going to be doing in a handstand. Right, we want to have that firm core engagement, straight legs. And then open up your hands and now press your palms together and hold there for a couple breaths as well. So this is getting your upper body a little more active. And then bring it back to the middle. Interlace your fingers once more, lift up. Exhale to the left. Hips toward the right, press down through your heels. Again, tighten the thighs, squeeze your abs, squeeze your thighs and your hips toward one another. Abs are tight. Maybe a little bit of internal rotation to the thighs so your glutes are relaxed. And one more breath here before we switch the grip. Make sure you're getting an opening through the right shoulder now, and staying long in the left side of your body. And then press your palms together. And really push your palms together. This is going to help activate your shoulders and get your upper body ready for this workout. It's very important. Don't neglect this. Really try here. Give this 10 seconds. Just push. Stand up tall. Again, keep the thighs squeezing toward one another. Push the top of your head toward the ceiling. Press your fingers up a little higher. 3 seconds. 2, 1. And then come back to the middle. Interlace your fingers. We're going to squeeze up and straight back. Inhale up. Exhale, reach back as much as you can. Lightly press your hips forward. Press down through your heels. Squeeze your hips toward one another. Make sure the legs are straight. Squeeze your arms back even more. Keep going. 3 breaths here. Look straight up at the ceiling. Breathe in to lift. Exhale, squeeze back. 2 more. Lift. Exhale, squeeze back. 1 more. Lift. Exhale, squeeze back. Hold here for 1 more breath. And then release. All right. Let's get your hips warm. Sit into a chair pose. Bring your butt straight back. Press down through your heels. Squeeze your thighs together. Bring your arms up. Try to get your legs as active as you can here. We're not really going for building strength right now. I want you to just focus on really getting your hips active. So sit down a little bit lower into chair pose. Press down really tough, really hard through your heels. Keep the arms up. 2 breaths. A little bit lower. Weight all in your hips. Back flat. Last breath. And stand back up. Good. Release. All right, let's face the top of the mat. Feet about 6 inches apart. Breathe your arms up. Exhale and fold. Stretch your hamstrings. Squeeze your quadriceps. If you can't squeeze your quadriceps with your hands on the ground, get a block, bend your knees, and then try squeezing your quadriceps. We want to open up the hamstrings here by engaging, by flexing your quadriceps. Your quadriceps? Quadriceps, excuse me. So press down through the feet. Squeeze your thighs toward one another. Again, squeeze your quadriceps. Start to open up your hamstrings. Pull your chest forward. Get a little half lift here. And then fold down. Hands to the ground, looking behind you. 1 more half lift. Pull forward. Squeezing your thighs toward one another. Tightening your thighs. Exhale and fold. Take a couple of breaths down here to open up your back. Release your hamstrings. Maybe folding a little bit deeper. Thinking of kind of squeezing your thighs toward your chest here. And then go ahead and sit back down like you're doing a chair pose. Press down through your feet. Bring your arms out wide. Lift back up. And release your hands. All right, let's take this back into a high lunge. We're going to do an arm variation to help open up your shoulders a little bit. So step the left foot to the back. Squeeze your legs toward one another. Push your right hip toward the ground. Bring your shoulders on top of your hips. Feeling that stretch through the front of the left hip. Bring your arms up. And then I want you to interlace your fingers. Bring your hands behind your back. Bring your elbows forward. And bring your hands toward your upper back. Now here I want you to kind of push your hands toward the back, keeping your biceps facing back and the triceps facing forward. We're going to work on opening up the back here, like this. So it's kind of like what you would do in a dolphin position, in that your arms are shoulder width distant, right, and our hands would kind of be like this for a dolphin, except we're interlacing the fingers. And this is going to help you work a little bit deeper into your shoulders. So work on pressing your hands back here, bringing your hands toward your back, getting the elbows as much above the shoulders as you can, keeping your neck relaxed. 3 more breaths here. Also working into your hip mobility. Really getting the glutes active here. Squeezing the thighs, legs squeezing toward one another. That internal, that inner thigh engagement is going to be important for handstands as well. 1 more breath here. And then release. Go ahead and stand up, and we'll switch sides. Right leg back, left foot forward. Press your left heel toward the ground. Get a stretch through your right hip. Left hip presses toward the ground. Sink into your front knee. Maybe softening that back knee if you need to. And then trying to squeeze your right hip flexor. So engaging the muscles right in the front of your hip. The same muscles that are stretching, so that you can get a little deeper into that muscle. And then again, bring your arms up. You're going to interlace your fingers, all of them. Bring your hands behind your back. Bring your biceps to face back. Bring your triceps forward. And then push your hands back as much as you can. And then bring your hands toward your upper back. Your neck should be relaxed in this position. Your hands might be in the way here a little bit, especially if you don't quite have the mobility to push your elbows that far back yet. But you want to strive to have your head in a neutral position here. So it's not out in front like this, but it's nice and neutral right above your shoulders. 3 more breaths here. Again, just kind of opening up the shoulders, pushing your hands back, really opening up there, squeezing your hands toward your back, Pushing the elbows further away from the front of the room. 2 more breaths. And really struggling through this. It's easy to be passive in yoga. It's difficult to push harder into your range of motion. 1 more breath. Keep pushing. And then release. Go ahead and stand back up. And let's go down to a plank from here. So, hands flat. And go ahead and take your knees down because this is important. Brief review of what you should be doing with your hands. Spread your fingers as wide as you can. Get your index fingers facing straight up or slightly out. Put weight into the ball mounds of your hands. So the point where your fingers meet the palms, you should be able to kind of slide a little bit of your finger under the bottom of your wrist. So it shouldn't be totally closed off. We want to have that just a little bit lifted. And then from there, you want to pretend like you're opening a jar. So pushing down and then screwing your arms out, externally rotating your hands so that your index fingers come slightly to the outside. And then from here, the biceps wrap forward. You want to feel your shoulders plug into your back. You want to feel your upper back engage. And then go ahead and tuck the toes, bring it into plank. So you should feel your forearms very engaged here. Your triceps and your biceps are active. Chest and upper back are active as well. No pain in the wrist here. Again, kind of shifting slightly forward so that the weight is in your forearms. It's in your palms, not in the wrist, not just dumping into the wrist. That is going to end up in wrist pain later on if you keep doing that. Pull your chest slightly forward, look in front of you, and then squeeze your hands toward your feet toward your hands. Keep your hands externally rotating toward the outside, and your shoulders externally rotate as well. So your biceps face forward, and that's going to help you get your back more active. 1 more breath here. Let's get your upper body active. So lower down into a low plank. So elbows right above the hands, shoulders pulling forward, upper back engaged, elbows squeezing in tight, looking forward, belly button up, thighs engaged. 2 breaths here, just getting your upper body warm. Keeping the weight in your hands, evenly distributed, not in the wrist. And then release. From here, take it into a cobra. Point your toes as much as you can. Tops of the knees facing the ground. Press your feet into the ground. Tighten your abs and lift away from the ground using your core strength. Push your head away from your hips. Squeeze your elbows toward your hips. Just 10 seconds here. Get a really good cobra. Squeeze your elbows back. Squeeze your arms toward one another to engage your upper back. Lift a little higher. Tighten your abs a little more. 3 seconds. 2, 1, and release. All right, let's take this back into actually before down dog, I want you to grab a strap and just stay on your knees here. Take the strap behind you. Hold it about hip width distant, maybe shoulder width distant if that's easier for you. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down, opening up your chest. So your biceps face forward, triceps face back, and then lift the strap away from your back, opening up your chest, engaging your upper back. So this 30 seconds here, we're going to work on getting your chest nice and open. We've been doing a lot of that already, right? In some of the variations we've done with the lunge, with the standing side stretches, even with Cobra. Been working on opening up the chest, so let's do that a little bit more with this. I want you to actively reach your arms away from your back. And this is doing a couple things. This is opening up your chest, right? So getting the necessary mobility in your shoulders, but it's also engaging the muscles in your upper back, which you want for a good handstand. If you're just using the muscles in the front of your body, that will lead to eventual injury. But if we're evenly distributing the weight and putting the weight in the upper back, then your shoulders will be nice and healthy for handstands. All right, go ahead and release the strap. And now we'll move into a down dog. So hands just like you had them for a plank, maybe a little bit wider. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips, press your thighs up and back into downward facing dog. Now let's slow down the breathing here. Really important to open up your hamstrings for handstands. If your hamstrings are tight, you're not going to be able to get into the handstand very well. And if you can't get into it very well, so if you start off your handstand poorly,
that means you're not going to be able to finish it poorly. So having open hamstrings is going to allow you to keep your spine, particularly your lower back, neutral. We don't want a rounded lower back because that leads to an arched upper back, and that means we have a lack of stability in the shoulders when that happens. So handstand is a full body exercise. We need to have proper muscle engagement in the upper body. We need to have shoulder mobility. We need hip mobility. We need proper core engagement. And we need to integrate all of that together for a successful handstand. Squeeze your arms toward one another as you're doing the down dog. Make sure the shoulders relaxed. Give this one more breath. All right. And then let's step your right leg up between your hands. Squeeze your legs toward one another. Press your right heel toward the ground. And lift your arms up into a high lunge. Relax the shoulders. From here, I want you to bring your hands behind your back. Press your palms together. Get the chest open. Reach your hands down. If you want to use a strap for this, if you want to do what we just did before on the ground, go for that. Reach your hands down. Lift your arms away from your back. And then move into an airplane from here. So right hip pressing toward the ground. Press down. Lift your arms away from your back. Pull your chest forward. Stretch your hamstring. Pull your chest forward so that your core is tight and engaged. You don't want to be folding down. That's not going to help your core at all. So pulling your body forward, pointing your left toes back, straightening both legs if you can. 10 more seconds here. Still squeezing the shoulders down and back, opening up the chest. One breath. And then release your hands. Take it back to a high lunge. Arms can come back up briefly. Relax the shoulders. And then lower your hands down. Take it back to a plank. And we're going to jump straight back to a down dog from there. So thighs pressing back again. Pressing into your hands. Squeezing your arms toward one another. All right, step your left leg up between your hands. Squeeze your legs toward one another. Left heel presses into the ground. Bring your arms up into the high lunge. Make sure your spine is nice and neutral here. Bring your hands behind your back. This time interlace your fingers the weird way. So whatever you did before, do the opposite. Reach your hands down. Again, bit the chest nice and open first. Then reach your hands down. Lift your chest up. Breathe in. Exhale, come forward. Push down through your left heel. Point your right toes back. Pull your chest forward. Breathe in and out of your nose. Toes reaching back, chest pulling forward. 2 more breaths here. So opening up through the left hamstring, keeping your abs tight, trying to lift your arms away from the back. 1 more breath. And then releasing your hands, stepping back to a high lunge. Bring your arms back up. Relax the shoulders. And then bring your hands to the ground. Step into a plank. Hang out here for a couple breaths. Get your body straight. Pull your chest forward. Lift your belly button. And then slowly lower down with control. Take it into a cobra. Point your toes back. Tops of the feet pressing into the ground. Knees facing the ground. Legs zipper up, squeezing toward one another. Lift away from the ground using your core strength. Squeeze your elbows back. Again, opening up the chest. 1 more breath here. And release down. All right, then I want you to bring your arms along your sides. Palms facing down. Reach your legs up. Point your toes toward the back. Lift your legs. Lock out the legs. And now lift your chest. Now lift your arms. Squeeze your elbows toward one another. 2 breaths here. Really reach your legs back. Really press the top of your head forward. Squeeze the arms back. And then reach your arms forward all the way into Superman. 2 breaths here as well. And this is the last bit of core work we're going to be doing. Turn your palms up. Reach forward. Open up your shoulders. 1 more breath.
Get long and release. All right, let's take this back into a child's pose. And if you want, I'm going to recommend this. Get a couple blocks. Place your hands on top of those blocks as high as they'll go, and get some opening through your upper body. So kind of like a puppy pose, or I guess what I would call a preacher stretch. And you want to open up your shoulders here. So really work on pulling your chest away from your hands to stretch the muscles around your shoulders, opening up your lats. You feel stretching around your armpits here. And try to keep your spine neutral, so your back flat. One more breath here. All right, go ahead and release. I'm going to have you flip onto your back. We're going to do actually just one more core exercise just to kind of promote stability in the core for the handstand work we're going to do. So you're going to lie onto your back. We're just going to do 5 reverse curls, or reverse crunches. So you're going to squeeze your knees toward your shoulders. Bring your arms out along the side. Breathe in here. Exhale, bring your legs forward. Press your heels forward. Bring your arms toward the back. Reach. Turn your palms to face back, just like you're doing a handstand. And then come back in. Bring your knees in. Come back out. Exhale to hold, maybe pointing the toes to simulate a handstand, and then come back in. 3 more, back out. Pointing your toes if you want, reaching back with the arms, and coming back in. 2 more. Again, point the toes, reach back, make your body as long as you can. Keep the abs tight, squeeze your legs together, reach your tailbone toward your heels, and come back in. Last one, back out. Thighs internally rotate. Squeeze your knees, your hips toward one another. Point the toes. And come back. All right. So now we are going to do some handstand work on the wall. So leading up to this, we've done a lot of shoulder opening. We've done a lot of core work. We've opened up the hamstrings a lot. So the body's ready. We are ready to do some handstand work. So the way we're going to do this is measuring yourself on the ground leading up to the wall. So I want you to sit against the wall, just like this. Back all the way up against the wall, feet out in front of you. Now mark where your feet are. That's important. That's where your hands are going to go. Sit up nice and tall here, and even before we do that, I want you to do a staff pose on the wall. So we're going to press your legs toward the ground, squeeze your thighs toward one another, bring your arms up, and press your arms flat against the wall. Now, if you can't do this without arching your back, you're going to have some problems in handstand. So we want to make sure that we can get the back, or think of sucking your sternum toward your back. You should be able to bring your arms flat along the wall with your neck relaxed and your back flat. So no arching through the back as you're doing this. Again, neutral spine. It also helps to do these wall slide exercises. So like you see me doing here, I'm going to press my elbows toward the back, making sure that I have a neutral spine here, and then straightening the arms all the way up without arching my back, keeping the ribs drawn in, and then coming down, exhaling up, opening up, feeling that stretch through my shoulders, and then coming back down. One more of these. And these are great to do on your own, so on their own as a workout to build shoulder mobility. All right, so shoulders are open. Let's do this. So again, mark where my heels are. My hands are going to go there, just like I'd have them for a plank. So planting my hands, index fingers facing forward, thumbs facing in. I'm going to screw my hands into the ground, and I'm going to walk my feet up the wall, and I'm going to bring my body into an L shape. So walk my feet up the wall all the way. And then I'm going to make sure I press down through my hands, so get good technique through my upper body.
I'm looking back. I shouldn't be able to see my shoulders at all here. And then I'm going to walk my feet down, engaging the muscles in the fronts of my hips, making my back flat, pushing my chest toward the wall, getting that L shape with my body here, reaching your right leg up, pointing the toes, pressing down through the hands, squeezing the arms toward one another, reaching your tailbone up, flattening out your spine, drawing the ribs in, and then maybe hovering my other foot off the ground, or my other foot off the wall, and coming into the handstand, reaching up, pointing my toes. Now, as far as getting out of the handstand go, you have a couple options. You can roll forward. You can easily release. You can do what I just did, which is kind of the natural response to getting out of a handstand. You can also just put your foot back on the wall and climb down. So getting out of a handstand is just a little somersault. Right? So if we do that way, it's easier than you think. So if we start to come over, we're just going to kind of drop down and roll forward. Want to make sure you're not landing on your neck, you're landing on your shoulders. Obviously, you're landing as lightly as you can. You don't want to thump to the ground. So you shouldn't feel any pain in your cervical spine as you're doing that. All right, let's try that handstand exercise one more time. A goal that I would strive for is 30 seconds. If you can't do 30 seconds, try 10 seconds. Build up to doing 30 seconds. Build up to doing a minute. But no matter what time you're doing here, you want to make sure that you have all of the proper elements. So if you're doing it and you're just holding it and you're not concentrating on all the elements going into it, it's not going to be successful. You need to make sure that you're focusing on all of the elements going into this. So let's walk through it one more time, and I will guide you through all of those elements of a proper handstand. So again, starting with the hand, starting with the wrist, pressing into the ground, screwing your hands into the ground, arms squeeze toward one another, biceps face forward. So the shoulders are nice and open, my neck is loose. I'm going to climb up the wall. Make sure that the weight, even before I bring my feet down, is in my upper back. It's not in the fronts of my shoulders here. I'm going to walk my feet in and feel stretched through my upper back and through my hamstrings, making that L shape with the body. Trying to reach my tailbone up, and then bring one leg up, and I would actually switch sides, make sure you're doing both legs. Point your toes toward the ceiling, internally rotate the thigh slightly, and now see if you can lift the other leg and come to join it, right? And then with the hands, I'm still pushing into my hands. I'm still squeezing my shoulders toward one another. I'm still keeping my abs tight. So I would say you can spend 2 to 3 minutes doing this total. You probably don't want to spend 10 minutes doing this. That's a lot of stress on your upper body and on your shoulders. So it's more about using the time that you have wisely, doing your best, really, really concentrating, lots of attention. So let's do one more of those. I'll walk you through it again. And I have to redeem myself, obviously. So walking up, again, wrists are engaged, biceps facing forward, pressing into the hands. Shoulders are relaxed. Your fingers are going to be active in this pose, so you can really grab the ground with your fingers here. Hips are level with the feet. Bring your leg up, point the toes, reach with your toes, point, 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 lift. Oh, I'm getting tired. So it helps to not lift your feet away from the wall. If you're having trouble in that, it helps to not lift your feet away from the wall. Helps to work on pointing one leg at a time and just playing with one leg at a time. So you don't even have to lift your legs away from the wall at first. It might make more sense just to play with pointing the toes and then switching sides every now and then. So, all right, let's grab a strap. We'll start the cool down. If you want to do a couple more of those, you're more than welcome. Thanks for joining me for this workout today. Make sure you subscribe. We put out lots of videos like this on a very regular basis. And to get full access to all of my workouts, my programs, tutorials, and more, head to manfulyoga.com, sign up for a 7-day trial. It's just $1. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.